he has not seen episode 9 yet.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, you cannot watch it without me. Like, I want to be there when you see it.
Yeah, that's fair.
What are you doing, Jack?
I think he's wondering who we're talking to.
I was streaming Star Wars Outlaws last night.
Mm-hmm.
And Brecker was down here. And they like to wait until I'm... Because John had like a rehearsal last night, I think.
Yeah.
And they like to wait until they know I'm too busy to deal with them. And that's when they start looking around to see if there's anything they can steal from my office. They love reads.
Yeah, anything they can destroy with their sharp little teeth.
Good enough. And you know, all that looking around... Oh, never mind.
Blue Sky?
It's not on there anymore. I was about to say, I always have a big thing every week where I'm like, where the fuck's Blue Sky? And I saw it down here, but it's not down there anymore. So,
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't know that it was ever down there, at least that I saw. Yes. Okay.
I think we're ready to go.
I think it's time.
Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I am Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And this is the weekly episode of the Jedi Enclave Presents. Now, this is Podcast, our weekly podcast about things that are Star Wars and things that interest us. And as it has been the last several weeks,
There's so much shit.
Lots of Star Wars. In fact, I was just thinking, I feel like we just did this bullshit like 2 days ago. And it wasn't 2 days ago. It was like 3 days ago.
Also, it wasn't Star Wars.
It was Thunderbolts. But yeah, I was like, I just sitting there during the opening, I was like, wait, have we not done this?
I have the strangest sense of deja vu.
Yeah.
Anyway, we don't have room for any filler bullshit today because
Yeah,
there is so much to talk about.
We are talking today about Star Wars Andor Season 2, Episodes 7 through 9, which we'll talk about it when we get there.
Bangers,
It's
all
just,
of them.
It kind of blew my mind a little bit. Star Wars Tales of the Underworld, we will talk about a little bit.
Which is pretty good.
Yep. And then, I mean, it was good. It just wasn't as, explosive.
Monumental.
Yeah. And then The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 4, which...
contained the entire gamut of human emotions,
Yeah.
from extremely cute love to, oh my god, a zombie is about to eat my face.
Yeah. And in between, which is lesbian finger banging.
I think that falls more under the cute
It's probably
love
closer
side.
to well, it
Yeah,
depends on what
yeah.
situation you're in, but you are probably right. It probably does go a
Also,
little bit in that direction.
one man talking about how much he really loves fine French saucepans.
In my notes, it says Isaac knows way too much about French, like cookware.
Look, everyone needs a hobby, okay?
While you're here, if you could join us on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, Discord, Blue Sky, all the links are there in the description of this video. Go and check it out. Join the conversation. Let us know. I think if I remember to do that, I've done this every week, and I've forgotten every week, where I go onto Facebook and I say, hey, here's a spoiler thread for this week's Andor. Let me know what you think, and I will read them live tonight. And every week I've been a fucking liar, and I've forgotten to read them.
Is it that you've forgotten, or that we just haven't had time?
Probably both. It's probably frantically trying to So I'm gonna try to make sure to do that before we move on tonight as well. So am I missing anything? Is that it?
No, I think that's everything.
All right. So we're gonna get into Star Wars Andor Season 2, Episodes 7 through 9. This will be we're gonna do a spoiler free for all 3 episodes, and then we'll get into spoilers. That way you'll be well warned.
Holy shit! This was the point to which this entire season and possibly the entire show has been building to.
Yeah.
Like, this season, I think we talked about last week, this season has been asking the question of what drives a person to rebel.
Yeah.
Knowing that it is
or to follow.
Yes.
Or to blindly follow.
Yeah. Knowing that rebellion is this insanely dangerous action that could very likely lead to your death and the death of everyone you hold dear.
Yeah.
What makes you choose that?
Yeah.
And this episode answers that. Like it points out just why exactly the Empire is so terrible that the Rebel Alliance exists in the first place.
Yeah. I don't have a bunch to say spoiler free other than I absolutely adored episode 7.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 8 and episode 9 perfect. 10 out of 10, no notes. Astonishingly good. This insane lightning in a bottle where all of these things meet up, where it's these brilliant acting performances and heart-wrenching music and a good story. Like everything is just firing on all cylinders, which isn't to say that the show hasn't been doing that all season, but this was special and it felt special.
This was the climax of the entire season.
Yeah. And
like you can tell they put a little bit of extra production juice on this.
It was just, man, was it good. And I'm not sure if it'll be I think there's still some shit happening. So
sure. They have 3 more episodes,
right,
and we still have a little ways to go before the start of Rogue One.
Right.
So.
Well, we know that according to Tony Gilroy, it's going right up to Rogue One.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna we might end up finding out what Cassian Andor was doing on that one station or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Where he shoots that guy. And
yeah.
Why is that our introduction to Cassian Andor all the time? It's just him shooting a guy.
Sorry. It's not Cassian shooting a guy. It's Cassian shooting a fellow spy.
Oh, yeah.
Because his arm is a little hurt and he can't crawl up the thing fast enough, so he just murders him. That is our introduction to Cassian Andor. Mm-hmm. And it is the introduction of Cassian Andor in season 1 of Andor, too.
Yeah.
Where he just fucking ices a couple guys.
Well, one guy dies of misadventure, and the other guy, he decides, no witnesses.
Yep.
And sends him to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
Yeah, Nate says, hey guys, Chris/Jedi. I really think, Nate, I love you, but I really think that Nate thinks my name is Jedi, and which is fine.
I think he knows that your name is not Jedi, but he's just committed to the bit at this point.
I hope so. I hope that's the case. And then Desi Boy says, good morning, guys. It was epic. I know. I'm going to try to read chats if they come in between the episodes. And then I'll read the comments from our post probably after all 3 episodes. We are getting into spoilers now. If you
have not seen these episodes, stop watching us right now and go watch them. They are extremely good.
Yeah,
we'll
never
be doing
do
yourself a disservice if this is the way you experience them for the first time.
Yeah. So go check it out and then come back and let us know what you thought in the comments. And if we miss anything, I've said this before. This is not like a new Rockstar style. Oh, everything you missed, and which, by the way, I think those titles are horribly, terribly. They exist to get people to click on them.
It's clickbait.
Yeah. So I'm not going to point out a bunch of shit that you already noticed. And then we're all fucking Star Wars nerds. We all noticed everything, like every little sound. I know in one of the episodes in the Imperial garrison on Gorman, a door opened, and my partner John was like, "Oh, you know that sound." Fucking love it.
Okay, shall we?
Yes.
Just don't do whatever you just did, and we won't get that little weird sound thing in our head.
Well, see, now hold on.
Surely it's fine.
Okay, hold on. Just hold that thought for just a moment.
Mm-hmm. Hey, if you're watching this stream, do me a favor and post a comment if you can hear what I'm saying. Just do me a little favor. Just any comment.
Oh, I'm glad I was.
Oh, I see what happened.
Yeah, I don't even know what happened.
That's intriguing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I think we're recording now.
All right, good.
Yeah.
You might have to splice in a little bit of audio from the stream.
That's okay,
but it's fine.
Yeah, well, I'll figure it out. It'll be all right. No, it's recording. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man, doing a live show is terrifying, by the way, because we don't have a producer or anything.
Okay.
So like we do everything ourselves. So
right.
anyway, spoilers. We're gonna get into it. Turn back now. Forever hold your peace. You've been warned, and I gave you like 5 minutes when I got up and checked all my shit. So
Anyway,
so this is Star Wars Andor season 2, episode 7, called Messenger. And we in my notes I have written in all caps, "Woo, we are on Yavin 4, baby," because we open on one of the most recognizable landscapes in all of Star Wars, which is the Yavin jungle with those giant Massassi temples coming out of the fucking jungle. And it hits there's a part of my monkey brain, that like little nostalgia bit, that it just is like, this is just for you. It's so cool. I love it. By the way, the rebellion is really starting to cook. Like, they're organized. They resemble an actual military force. There are people coming in every day ready to fucking fight the Empire. And it's really cool. And it's cool to see them at this early, like, they're finally getting their shit together.
Like, it took them a couple years from originally Luthen sending some people out to, blow things up and steal some money to an actual fucking army.
Yeah. So a freighter arrives, and a much more confident Willman than we've seen before. Kind of like saunters off the ship, right?
Because last we saw of him, he was, huffing some of the.
He was having a religious moment with Saw Gerrera.
He was huffing the extremist gas with Saw Gerrera.
Which, if given the opportunity, that's exactly what I would do too. I think. So, he kind of gets there. He kind of walks a little bit through the base, and you see some really familiar shit that we've seen from the movies. So it turns out that Cassian and Bix are like living in a yurt, like in the jungle,
or like a tree house or something.
Well, it's on the ground. I don't know what is actually a yurt or not.
There's a tree growing through it that they're using as a support.
There are no doors or windows. They just. Which, by the way, I don't know how they deal with mosquitoes, but that's fine.
Maybe there are no mosquitoes.
When I was watching it, I was like, "Oh, I would love that fucking house. As long as there weren't like a ton of bugs, that would be like the coolest thing in the world." He has a blaster injury to his shoulder. They don't really say what happened, but
it's assumed that he went someplace in the past year, and
and it's not healing.
He's trying to roll his shoulder, and it's.
There is this moment where Bix says, "Take your shirt off," and then John and I, my partner John and I, looked at each other. We're like, "Please." And so we get a little bit of Diego Luna taking his shirt off, and we're like, "Damn, boy!" Even I know he's older than he was in Rogue One, but he still looks real fucking good. So Willman shows up, and they have this weird. There's like a family dynamic.
Yeah.
Like if you were to take away all of the rising up in rebellion against an authoritarian government, they have this vibe of their family, and Will is the kid that's off to school that's come home for the holiday. And he's got his like laundry and shit.
Well, I mean, like these are some of the last survivors of Ferrex, right?
Yes, which I love. By the way, I love they showcase that particular bond in the second and third episodes, or at least in the second episode of this set. That I really appreciate that they do have. In fact, it's that bond is what allows the inciting incident of this 3-episode arc to even happen, right? So. Will is there with a message from Luthen, which is it's time to get to work.
Yep.
Like, stop sitting in your fucking yurt with your fucking wife, girlfriend, whatever the fuck.
There's rebelling to do.
Yes.
How would you like to send Dedra to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour?
Remember Dedra, who annexed Ferrex, tortured Bix, all this like really terrible shit. We know where she's gonna be. We know what room she's fucking in, and she likes to go out on her little balcony every 5 minutes, and it would be so fucking easy just to pop her right the fuck off. And they have a little bit of, because Cassian is, Cassian.
He's kind of getting over this.
He's a little done. I think he's realizing how much he's missed with Bix.
How much he stands to lose.
Right. And so he's not so sure he's going to do it. But, like, you can tell Will, and even Bix is like, we're going to go kill that bitch, right?
Yeah, you better go do this.
So, on Gorman, Things are heating up.
Things have changed.
Yes. Imperial Fox News is reporting on terrorists attacking their Imperial... I just realized Imperial Fox News is probably...
basically just Fox News.
That what they have. Imperial Fox News is a little redundant.
Yeah.
So anyway, Fox News is like, the terrorists are attacking the support... Hashtag support our troops and blah, 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 blah. And
There's a neat bit of... parallel cinematography, because like if you remember, I think episode 4, Cyril has this long extended sequence where he goes to work and he's walking past and there's all these Gorn walking around, and and like you hear the protests and things. And then in this episode he does something very similar, walks to work, except it's just Imperials there. There's no gore anywhere.
Yeah, because they've shut off the plaza. I think only Imperials are allowed in there. So, by the way, our very first look at Cyril, he seems to not be taking things super well anymore. There is a weight on him that wasn't there the last time we saw him.
Being a double agent is hard.
Yeah, being a bootlicker is fucking hard, and that's just how it is. So Daedra chats with Partagaz, and bad shit is about to happen on Gorman, because Partagaz is like, so we've been trying the last couple of years to, that weird mineral that's in the ground on Gorman.
Yeah, like we need to get that shit out right now.
Yeah, we even tried to see if we could synthesize it, like synthetically.
Science doesn't work. I don't know why it doesn't work. I'm not a scientist.
A cool little shout out, by the way, on Krennic and the science base on Edu, which is a location we visit in Andor or Rogue One. So, the Empire's patience is running out, and they are going to start. They
are
doing
sending
bad
in
shit.
the mining ships.
48 hours. They've got 48 hours, and shit's going to go down. By the way, they're sending a crisis specialist. And when
at managing crises or creating them.
Yes, you create them and then you manage them. Yeah. So when they're all done, Daedra and Cyril are going to be heroes of the Empire, and the Emperor's going to love the ISB, and everything is going to be great. Meanwhile, Cyril's having a little bit of a crisis of faith with the Empire, and like he senses something is up, but like Daedra won't tell him what it is, and he's starting to think, "Oh my God, am I on the wrong team?"
I have thoughts about Cyril, and we'll get into him probably midway through episode 8.
Yeah, about to say there's a lot of shit about Cyril we have to say that we can't say without spoiling the next episode. So there's a scene between. So meanwhile in Coruscant, there's a scene between Mon and her aide, Eskin. Yeah. And their driver, Chloris,
who they know is an ISB agent.
Right. And he's being very snoopy. He's like, so what are your plans tonight? And Mon's like, I don't know. He's like, well, I need to know exactly where you'll be at every 10-minute interval from now until when you go to bed. And she's like, no.
That's weird.
No, I'm not going to give you that information.
Also, you work for me, not the other way around.
Also, you're a fucking driver. Like that... No. And so she walks off, and her aide is like, she tells her aide, she's like, I'm going to request a new driver. And he's like, don't, because they might send someone who's actually smarter than that fucking idiot. Yeah. And that would be really bad. So the senator from Gorman approaches, so she gets into work. The senator from Gorman approaches about the increasing problems on Gorman, and there isn't anything anyone can do. And there was this line that hit super hard, where they say they don't even bother to lie well anymore. That's the final humiliation. The fact that they are in such control and no one cares.
They don't need to lie
They don't need to lie, and it really is just like the worst thing.
Yeah, just whatever the Empire says goes.
Yeah. On Gorman, the Gorman front argues about what they're going to do, because like a lot of them are younger folks. They want to fight. They want to throw some fucking Molotovs.
The old guy is like, dude, we need to keep resisting passively,
peaceful resistance,
peacefully.
Right? Yeah.
And everyone else is like, no, like we have all these guns and Molotovs, like we're gonna fucking kick some Imperial ass.
Yeah. And he's like, well, we risk losing our souls, and they're like, don't believe in souls, so I don't care.
I mean, what's worse, losing our souls or losing our plan?
Right. So basically where they are is they need to choose between peaceful resistance and war, and many of them seem to want war very, very much. Bix cons Cassian into seeing a Force healer on Yavin 4.
Yeah.
Like they go on a walk. She's like, oh, we're just going on a walk, baby. It's fine. Oh, who's that lady over there? What's she doing? He's like, Bix, that's I'm going to put our BRB up. I think I know what's doing this.
It did stop recording again. Please pardon the technical difficulties. Streaming is very hard. I mean, I can see the little lines going up in OBS, so I assume they're hearing me. Are we okay? Looks like we might be close to back. Just give us another moment. We're still doing things. Daniel's examining very closely. Okay. And we're rolling again. Looks like we're rolling again. Okay. We're probably back. Probably, maybe, hopefully. This is gonna be a bitch to edit.
Yeah, I know. I'll set aside some extra time to do it. I'm pretty sure that one of my USB ports is creating a short.
Yeah.
And it fucks with my audio interface. So let's just jump right in. So Bix cons Cassian into
seeing this Force healer.
Yeah. And
he's like, I fucking hate Force healers, and Marva fucking hated Force healers too, so what the fuck are we doing?
I like how she's like, no, that was one Force healer like a billion years ago. It's not that big of a deal. So they meet up with a Force healer, and something...
Well, they're like standing there arguing, and like she looks up and looks directly at Cassian and is like, I need to talk to that guy.
Yeah.
And walks across and is like, hey, what's up?
She's very soft-spoken and gentle and everything, and you can't really tell if it's because you know how it's like the Professor Trelawney's of the world from Harry Potter who are like, oh, the inner eye is all-seeing.
Yeah.
And, like they don't actually know what the fuck they're doing because in every other world, including our psychics and this kind of shit, doesn't exist. I mean, psychics do, but they don't have any special powers. So she's like, well, here, let me take a little look at your shoulder. And she gives him a little shoulder rub, and then something happens between the two of them. And Cassian looks a little spooked and is like, don't fucking touch me. I'm going home now. And Bix is like,
what the fuck did you just do?
What the fuck just happened between the two of you? And she's like, what did you see? What did he see? What the fuck's happening? And she's basically like, he's a messenger. And he's got some place he needs to be, and maybe you're that place. Yeah. And she's like, that's vague and an extraordinarily unsatisfying answer.
Also, I'm pretty sure the place he needs to be is Gorman, offing that Imperial bitch.
Right, yeah.
So, you know.
And she's like, maybe that's what I meant. So, Cyril meets up with one of the Gorman fronts, the daughter of the leader, right? And their relationship has obviously soured quite a lot.
It has become a bit strained.
Yeah. But I kind of got the hint that maybe Cyril has kind of come to love the culture a little bit and love some of the people. And he tries to convince her. He's like, look, I know... like what I did was shitty, but like I really was here just to trap outside agitators. Like, you know, maybe we work together and we try to figure this out. And
it's right about here that she slaps him in the face.
Oh yeah, just right in the. She's like, "Fuck off," and then just leaves. And he's like, "Okay, well, okay,
all right."
On Yavin, Cassian's shoulder is starting to feel better.
Yeah.
Now,
was it because of the Force healer? Or had he just naturally healed by this point?
If it wasn't in a universe where the Force was a measurable, predictable,
real thing,
I would be like, it's a causation correlation fallacy. His shoulder probably would have felt better regardless.
Or at best, the placebo effect.
Yeah. So no, I think she gave him a little bit of force touch, and he started feeling better. Bix is starting to get the feeling that Cassian is like he's got some kind of like purpose, like some kind of big special thing, and she's also kind of catching on that maybe he won't do that thing he's supposed to do, whatever it is, whenever it is, because of her. And that's kind of a thing that kind of sticks with her. Cassian and Will decide. So they just they walk up to a U-wing at the Rebel base and they're like, "This is ours now." And they're like, "You can't just take a U. We're a real military now."
Yeah, like you can't just go AWOL.
Yeah, and Cassian's like, "I want you to listen to me. Shut the fuck up. I was here before this was Rebel base. So we're taking this U-wing." And the guy that's from Rogue One, who's I think he's the guy that's kind of in charge of their little secret division, comes out and he's like, "Dude, you can't just take ships like this." And he's like, "No, I think I can." And so he says, "The day I need permission to come and go, I'm gone." And the guy's like, "That day's coming up, bitch. So you better decide which side of this you're on." So on Gorman, a new batch of very young and very inexperienced soldiers arrive, and the crisis specialist is there to greet these. Very excited about this new little batch of young, experienced idiots that they've brought to Gorman. And he's like, "Oh, I've got plans for these guys." And the commander's like, "Why? They're young, dumb idiots."
The sergeant who's in charge of this squad.
Yeah. He's like, "I've spent a lot of time with these guys. They're fucking idiots, and they're like all 12."
And the crisis guy is like,
"Perfect.
Are we gonna have a problem here?"
Right. Yeah.
Like, you're gonna do exactly what I fucking tell you to do, okay, Sergeant? Sergeant's like, "Yes, sir."
You all fit into the grand plan here. So Dedra kind of looks on in horror because they're all basically teenagers, and she's like, "Am I getting older or are they getting younger? I can't really tell. Are we the baddies?" So Vel, who we've not seen since Cinta's death, shows up to visit Bix at her yurt.
And they're buddies, apparently. And
also, Vel seems like maybe she's seen better days. She seems like she's handling everything all right, but I think the strain of everything that's happened and everything she's lived through is starting to show a little bit.
Well, yeah, she says that she's not doing field operations anymore. She's part of the base. She's responsible for entrance when new recruits come by. She scares them straight.
Right. So she's like, "Look, Draven and Dodonna, people we know from proper Star Wars, sent me here to talk to you because we need Cassian, and Cassian's a leader. So can you get a handle on your fucking man and tell him to stop being a wild card? Because he just goes and takes U-wings. Do you know that he does this? He just walks up to the flight pad and he just takes ships he wants and he leaves, and we don't hear from him
for weeks at a time.
But granted,
and it's a real problem.
Yeah, but on one hand, something Imperial usually blows up, which is great.
Yeah,
for us. But
fantastic.
also we needed that U-wing for something else.
Yeah, we had plans for that U-wing. Yeah. It's not like it's just sitting there.
Yeah. So Cassian arrives on Gorman, and he kind of notices how fucked up everything has gotten, and how it's pretty much just Imperials in the plaza now. It's almost like a full Imperial occupation.
Yeah.
And Will shows Cassian where Dedra sleeps. He's like, right up here, that fucking window.
Right there. And that balcony, that's where she steps out to...
Yeah, she likes to poke her head out from time to time to kind of take a look at everything. And then as they depart...
He's like, "Okay, I'm going to go hang out with my Gorman girlfriend."
Well, hold on. They embrace, and Will says Ferrix, and Cassian replies Stone and Sky, which I think this is one of those threads that they didn't necessarily need to keep, but is a thing that connects Will and Cassian and Bix, where we were talking over the last couple of weeks about the ammunition that the rebels have just been collecting through trauma and the people they've lost.
This is a big part of why Will and Cassian fight.
The reason, right? This was the first big thing. Will lost his father on Ferrix. Bix was tortured on Ferrix, and Cassian, his mother was the start of the rebellion on Ferrix, pretty much, right? So like that's why they're in so deep. And it's just a moment where it's like they say that shit, and I'm like, all right, that's a pretty nice touch. Cassian checks into the hotel, and we see a familiar face at the desk.
Yes.
Who is the bellhop? I think he's gotten a promotion.
The bellhop from a year ago is now working the front desk.
Yeah, and he checks in. He's a totally new guy. He's like, I'm fucking weird name Magoo from the news.
Yeah, mid-rim news.
And he's like, are you sure you're not Cassian Andor? Because you look like Cassian Andor. And he's like, are we gonna have a problem?
He's like, okay, look, I'm not gonna report you, but like the other chick is working the front desk.
This bitch over here,
she is definitely gonna report you. Like
Stacy over here.
Yeah.
She's a huge problem.
So here's your room key. It's the same room as the last time you definitely didn't visit us.
Yeah, and this time I'm not carrying your bags
because you know the fucking way.
I don't do that job anymore. I make more money now. And he's like, all right, well, this has been really fun.
You know, I'm glad we've all come up in the world.
Yeah. Which, by the way, he's given him a room that has a window that looks right at Dedra's room, and he's like, oh, that's nice. Now, because we mentioned this, but because he's a journalist and he doesn't have an entry stamp, that they're going to have to tell the Empire, but like not until tomorrow morning. Like it's not a big deal. Yeah. He can still get a room and shit. So Cassian gets to his room, and
opens up his suitcase.
Yeah, he starts to he's got like this this fully collapsible sniper rifle in his bag.
He just pulls it out and starts assembling.
Yeah. It. So we find out Will has a girlfriend in the Gorman front. He gets comms working with Cassian, and Cassian starts to kind of case the plaza. Like he realizes there are stormtroopers kind of above his room and shit, and he's like, this is a really fucking good spot to assassinate someone. God damn.
If it weren't for the stormtroopers like 5 feet above me, this would probably be absolutely perfect.
Right. And then that's the end of the episode. Episode 8, Who Are You? I have to prepare myself a little bit because
man.
So out of the next 2 episodes, I consider them both to be near perfect. With the 9th episode being my favorite, I think.
I'm the opposite. I prefer the 8th.
I know, and you know what? I think that's perfectly valid, especially because they're 2 entirely different episodes.
Yes. But
they're both, to me, equally exciting, and I love the action and the heartbreak in this one. But Mon Mothma has a moment that I'm just like, you just radicalized me. In real life, you radicalized me. Holy fuck, I'm in the rebellion now. So, Cassian puts his sniper rifle together, and there's something stirring in the plaza. Imperials are pulling back all their barricades.
They're pulling the barricades back to right outside the Imperial lines.
They're not stopping citizens from moving freely into the plaza. And so Cassian calls Will up, and he's like, "What the fuck is this? What are they doing?" He's like, "We have no idea." In fact, the Gorman front, they don't really know, and we don't know what's going on. So the Gorman front starts mobilizing, where they start
they're passing out guns. They're making Molotov cocktails.
They're like, boys, this might be it, motherfuckers. Let's be ready. Partagaz talks to Dedra, and she seems to also... her anxiety about what's happening rises as well.
Yeah.
In fact, if anything could be said about this episode, you could say a lot of brilliant, amazing things about this episode. It's one of those episodes that knows how to build tension until the right moment. And one of the ways they show that tension is Dedra,
she proceeds towards nervous collapse.
Right.
By the end
and
of it.
The thing, you can tell that this whole thing that she's been working toward has been in the abstract until today.
Yep.
Where she's like, holy shit, this is actually happening. And even at one point with a call to Partagaz, where Partagaz is like, girl, get your shit together. We are too far into this.
This is what you signed up for.
Right.
We are the ISB. This is what we do.
And Partagaz basically is like, girl, this is happening. You better get your shit together. And the Gorman, she's like, well, do you know that the Gorman front is real fucking, they got machine guns and shit. And he's like, oh, we're counting on that. And she's Deja's
that is part of the plan.
Right. So, okay. Tony Gilroy did this thing that I found very surprising, which is that he got me to feel a little sad for Cyril's mom. Because look, I get it. She's a sociopath. She's a piece of shit, but that is her son. And watching her watch the news on all of the turbulence on Gorman, she is legitimately concerned, and it's kind of sad to watch. So someone knocks on Cyril's door and is like, "Hey, something's happening. Go to the fucking Imperial building."
All the Imperials are being called in.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, am I an Imperial?
Weird.
Yeah. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I guess I am an Imperial, aren't I?
Right. At the very least, you spent a lot of time licking their boots, my friend." So Gorman demonstrators start to make their way into the plaza.
Yep. They're going through the streets saying, "Hey, the fucking plaza's open. Let's go down there and yell at the Empire."
Yeah. They're the old leader guy, the one woman's dad. I can't remember his name.
He's saying to everyone, "Hey, fucking go home."
He senses
like this is a trap.
Yeah, he senses something
Don't go there.
Like real bad is happening, and you can tell when he's looking around. He's like, "Oh no, like this is exactly what they want." His daughter, by the way, he's like, "Go to your room," and she's like, "No, Dad.
Fuck you, Dad.
I'm gonna go kill some Imperials," and he's like, "Oh fuck." Oh,
also, I'm like 25. You can't tell me to go to my room anymore.
So, she tells him like, "We're done being quiet. Like this is just how it is."
Today we're going loud.
So Cassian is like, "Oh, my plan needs to be a little more flexible than this because I don't know what's happening." So he breaks down his rifle so that he can conceal it and shit. Cyril he finds the leader guy, right, the old guy, and he tries to talk to him, and he says that the mining equipment, I think maybe we haven't mentioned this yet, but the Empire has landed mining equipment all over the planet, and like the locals know.
Yeah.
Right. And
like,
so
they're not being subtle about it.
Right. And so, however, Deidre told Cyril, "Oh, that's just a rumor.
Yeah.
Like that's not actually happening. It's fake
real.
news."
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, "Hey, what about the fucking mining shit?" And Cyril was like, "Oh, that's just a rumor. That's fake news." And this guy has this great line. He says, "Are you mad that I'd believe that it's worth saying? What kind of being are you?" And there are several lines that happen in this episode and the next episode where it's like, you didn't have to make it so fucking real world, man. So Cyril, by the way, this guy, like they split ways. Cyril is starting to think maybe bootlicking was a bad idea.
Maybe, this wasn't all I signed up for.
Right. Cassian talks to the hotel desk guy, who apparently had to work all night. And he's like, "Hey, by the way, we didn't log that you're here. The Empire has no idea." And he's like, "That's fucking great. I hope things work out for you." And the hotel guy responds, "Rebellions are built on hope," which is a line that we've heard all over fucking Star Wars. Cassian comes, he leaves the hotel and
starts just lurking around the plaza.
Comes within inches of Cyril.
Yeah.
There are ships passing in the night.
It's fantastic. Like they're walking in opposite directions, but they're both looking to their right, so neither one sees the other.
They're also both focused on different things.
Yeah.
Right. So they're not even looking, and it's like they practically brush shoulders.
It's an awesome shot. Like beautifully constructed.
It's that shot in season 1 where Cyril is standing in the crowd in Ferrix, and literally right behind him, not a couple of people behind him, the next person behind him is Luthen, and he's got his hood up, and he's looking at him like, "Kill this motherfucker right now if I wanted to." Yeah. So people start flooding into the plaza, and Cyril makes his way to the Imperial building,
and the whole time they're coming, these people are chanting, "We are the Gore, the galaxy is watching."
Yes. Cassian is trying to keep his eye on the building for Deidre. And there's this moment where he sees her step out onto the thing. He's like, "Oh shit!" And he grabs his scope and he's like, "Oh, okay, this is
that's
it."
Her.
And then she turns around and walks back in. She's like, "Oh, damn it!" They do mention, by the way, that he can't necessarily just shoot her through the glass because he might need 2 shots.
Yep.
So Cyril he's like, "Hey, I want to go talk to Deidre," and he's like, no one's allowed upstairs. We're gonna put you in this room, and they shove him in there, and it's just a room full of KX droids.
KX droids and like a couple other Imperials are kind of like
what are they doing there? We have no idea. And one of these KX droids hilariously stares at him,
just stares him down.
And we will talk about this as the episode goes along, but I'm pretty sure I know who that one was.
I think I do too.
So, Crisis Guy gives the order to close the building up, the Imperial building, and stormtroopers come in and herd everyone into the plaza and block all the exits. Yep. And this is where things in Andor start getting real fucking Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Where you just know...
you know exactly what's going to happen.
You sense something just fucking terrible is coming. Mm-hmm. And, like, it's also moving too quickly now to stop. Like, this is happening. It's only a matter of time. And, like, these are the moments of storytelling in shows that really get me. Because, like, if you can find a show that will legitimately raise my blood pressure and get my heart going, you've got me on board for it, right? And it doesn't happen that often, but this is one of those moments, just like Marva's fucking speech and Luthen's speech and Kino Loi's speech in season 1, where like my blood pressure goes up and my heart's racing. So Crisis Guy is like, okay, I have this brilliant fucking idea. We're gonna send SEAL Team Noob out into the plaza to secure
clear a path to the monument.
Why do we need a path to the monument? Don't fucking worry about it.
Yep. It's all part of the second stage of the plan,
right? Which is we'll
Don't
get to
worry
that later.
about it.
Yeah. So this is obviously a terrible plan, but it's also very obviously the point, right?
Yes.
So Gorman Front starts like handing each other like fucking Molotovs. He's like fucking Molotovs, man.
Yeah,
this is a real party. Viva la resistance.
And then one of the guys takes off his hat and starts singing,
which I presume is the Gorman.
I'm pretty sure
anthem.
It's the Gorman national anthem or some other folk song that's deeply significant to them.
It is kind of a touching thing, actually, because the extras they got for this scene are singing their fucking hearts out.
Yeah.
And there's one guy who's like he's not like a super important character, but he's like one of the named Gorman Front guys. When they do the close up on him, there's like just a tear that falls from his face, and you're like, these guys really mean it. And you can, it's an emotion that you can just kind of sense.
All the extras in this crowd acted the fuck out of their parts.
Yep. They were all great. So Cyril sneaks upstairs and confronts Deidre.
He's like, what the fuck are we doing here?
And you can tell the second he walks in that like he's almost in tears. Like it's occurring to him that the fucking mining equipment was not a rumor, that something terrible is about to happen.
The magnanimity, or is that the right word? Probably not.
It can be.
The significance of
the
situation.
Words are descriptive, not prescriptive. It can mean whatever you want.
The weight of the situation is bearing down on Cyril.
Yeah. And he's starting to recognize his part in it too.
Like, so here's my thinking on Cyril. When Dedra and Partagaz recruited him, they did not tell him any of this. Yeah. They told him that, you're going to be a double agent on Gorman. You're going to help us root out outside agitators who are trying to, foment resistance here. And we're just going to wipe that out, and we're going to turn Gorman into this, happy, productive part of the Empire.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what Cyril signed up for.
Yes.
What he did not sign up for is what is about to happen.
A false flag operation, pretty much. Yeah. And he confronts Deidre about it and grabs her by the throat.
And is like, you are going to tell me what is going on.
And he's like, I want to know about the mining equipment. And so help me fucking God, if you say it's a rumor, I'm going to throw you out of this fucking window. And so she's like, well, okay, it's all a false flag thing. We're here for this mineral, and it came straight from the Emperor.
Yep, we need it for the power thing. It's very important. The Emperor's going to love us. And like, when this is all done, you and I go home to Coruscant. We're going to be heroes. It's going to be fantastic. Your mother will finally love you.
Yes, we'll get a dog. Everything will be great. And the camera goes to Cyril's face, and you just see, like, there's just a light that goes out in his eyes. And he's like, well, good fucking luck. And he turns around and he leaves.
Bye.
And you can tell, like, Deidre is not the kind of woman who screams for a man to come back. So, of course, she's not going to. The second she leaves, she, like, grabs one of the... She's like, go fucking get him. Make sure he stays in the building. So, SEAL Team Noob goes out into the plaza.
Yep, they got their riot shields and their electric stun batons.
All of them look like they're about to shit their pants.
Yeah.
Including the commander guy who is like, I am the only person here who knows I'm
the only person here with a gun.
Right.
This is not going to end well.
When this happens, Cyril sneaks out of the building. And the crowd starts throwing things at them. And they become more agitated. And this is like exactly what the Empire is waiting for.
I think you skipped over this earlier, but at one point, Dedra is talking to the Crisis Commander, and she's like, well, things are about to happen, aren't they? And Crisis Commander's like, let's not get the chain of command confused here, girl. You are the finger, I am the trigger. Just be sure you're ready to pull it when it's time.
What a weird way to be like, someone's going to give you an order and you give me that order.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's kind of weird. So Partagas calls and he gives the go order.
Yep.
And a sniper who is stationed up on a building.
Well, it isn't Partagas' order. It's Crisis guy who tells Dedra, hey, it's time. And Dedra's like,
well, no, Partagas calls Dedra and gives her the order. And then he's waiting and he's like, what'd he fucking say? And she's like, okay, he said go.
He tells Sniper Guy, hey, take the shot.
Yeah, and at first you think he's going to start firing into the crowd, but he zeroes in on a member of SEAL Team Noob and fucking headshots him.
Yep.
And then shoots another one of them. And so the commander orders them all to open fire.
The sergeant's like, holy shit, we're under attack. Yeah. Start shooting.
Right, and there was this, like, there's this guy, by the way, there's a civilian who's waving a flag up on a thing that he's, like, worried about. And so they shoot that fucking guy.
I don't think he's worried about him so much as, like, that guy's just the most visible one.
Yeah, but I think...
Andor, he thinks, because of the angle the shot come in, he thought that guy might have done it.
Well, before he was keeping an eye on him anyway, because, I mean, the guy was, like, in a pretty good position.
Yeah.
And so... they start firing into the crowd and
pandemonium.
Yeah, it's just
out.
like absolute fucking chaos just erupts, and the stormtroopers that are blocking everyone in start firing. The Gorman front pull out their guns and they start firing back. All the civilians are blocked into the plaza, and it's just fish in a barrel, right? So Cassian sees that some real terrible shit's happening, but he's trying to stay on mission. Yeah.
Yep. So he's like hiding behind this pillar, and like he's got his rifle set, and he's trying to wait for Dedra to pop her head out.
Right. And he has like another opportunity too, where it's not a good shot, so he doesn't take it. Cyril wanders around, just shell shocked and overwhelmed.
1,000-yard stare.
Right.
Like
just like real life. He's like this.
His faith in the Empire is shot at this point.
So
I think what happened with Cyril is that A, he never believed that this was going to happen, and B, he's lived here long enough and been close enough with the Gorman front that like he's gone native essentially. Like he sympathizes with them. Not necessarily their goal of, independence or whatever, but like
I bet they could have convinced him.
He likes the culture. He likes the people. He likes the planet.
I think they would have eventually, if this hadn't happened, I think that they would have eventually convinced Cyril. And it's crazy how like his first thing is the Empire's the good guys. They would never do this. And then
he sees it happen.
Yeah, he's disabused of that pretty completely.
And he's just kind of looking around through all this, and like we see a bunch of the Gorman front people get shot and go down, and it's
people he knew.
Yep.
That he kind of like came to like to care for.
And then he's just looking around.
Well, hold on a second. Also, I will say that I tried to get myself to feel sorry for Cyril, but I couldn't. We just couldn't do it. A commander orders, I think the Crisis guy, orders the KX droids into the crowd.
Yep.
And holy fuck.
These things are terrifying.
They start killing. They're just picking people up and tossing them up into the atmosphere and shit. Hotel guy, I think, sacrifices himself. He fucking throws a bomb in the lobby of the hotel, and there's this huge explosion, and it takes out a bunch of stormtroopers. Cyril sees Cassian.
He's just staring around at the chaos around him, And then he sees Cassian Andor,
Yes.
the guy who has lived rent-free in this guy's head for like
from day
4 years.
From day fucking one.
And he has nothing else left in his life in this moment except that's that motherfucking rebel Cassian Andor. And he just fucking runs across, football tackles him through a window.
Well, hold on. I did write in my notes, cue the Kill Bill sound. Yeah. Now, Cassian has a shot on Deidre. And he gets so far that he is exhaled and he is ready to shoot. And that's when Cyril fucking tackles him.
Boom.
And he has, like, I don't think that he even realized he saved Deidre like one last time, right? They have an extremely violent brawl.
Yeah,
like for Star Wars, I was like, God damn, these guys are just wailing on one another. And you can tell the whole time, Cassian has been living rent-free in Cyril's head for like the entire show. Cassian has no idea who the fuck Cyril is.
My favorite part of this is like, so Cyril has the upper hand at first. He's on top, he's choking.
He smashes the thing on his
Cassian
head.
gets loose. And like Cassian's winning the fist fight for a while, and then a grenade blows up, and like they're both kind of separated and disoriented. And like Cassian hides behind this bar, and Cyril grabs the dropped rifle and is pointing it at him. And Cassian's just looking at him like, who the fuck are you?
It's a very Thanos, like, I don't even know who you are.
And Cyril, like, his mind breaks.
Yeah.
Because Cassian has been, like, either the most or second most important person in his entire existence for the past 4 or 5 years.
The most important part. I think more important to him than Deidre, I would say. And he lowers his gun because it like you're just like
he's like not able to comprehend the fact that Cassian Andor doesn't even know who the fuck he is.
And then Cyril takes a blaster bolt to the head. From fucking Gorman Front Daddy. Who I swear they do a close up on him, and I almost like expect him to have some kind of tagline or something.
Has been revoked.
Yeah, it's just been revoked. I'd say Godspeed, Cyril, but bootlickers get what they fucking deserve.
Yeah.
And you had it coming, buddy. So Cassian and Willman escape the plaza. Will's girlfriend is missing. So like he's like, I can't go with you, Cassian.
And there's a KX droid coming after him.
Right.
Which they're both shooting, and the bolts are just bouncing off.
Yeah, it's very well armored.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you've played any of the Jedi games, the Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor, these things are terrifying to run into. Because they're very tough, especially if you're playing it on like Grandmaster. They are scary.
It begs the question: why does the Empire even have stormtroopers when they can just bring a bunch of KX droids?
Right? Yeah, you'd think.
So this KX droid is like a few feet away from getting to Cassian when a fucking space bulldozer comes out of nowhere.
It's a tank. It's an Imperial tank.
Fucking pins it to the wall, cuts it off at the waist.
This is the guy, by the way. The guy driving the tank was the guy responsible for Cinta's death. In the last week's episode, Cassian like realizes he's not going to get Will to come with him. And
Will's like, I gotta save my girlfriend.
And he's like, okay, well, before you go, can you help me load up this KX droid into the car? And I like how they both look at him like, why?
And then they do the Ferric Stone and Sky thing one more time.
I know.
And they go their separate ways.
It got me.
And as Cassian's driving away, Will's girlfriend is getting on the radio.
Yeah, this is the end of this episode is really harrowing because they like a lot of the Gorman Front guys go back to the HQ and they start broadcasting on all frequencies like we are being murdered. Like in fact, the quote I wrote down was the Imperial murder of Gorman has begun. And Cassian's driving off and he's in tears because I think he knows that Willman's gonna die. And like, you know, would he do anything different for Bix?
Probably not.
He wouldn't. And Willman shows up to the Gorman or the Gorman Front HQ, and his girlfriend hands him a fucking mic.
He's like, "We need to get on the air.
Yeah,
gotta tell him
like
what's
we
happening.
have to tell everyone what's happening." Deidre has a moment at the end of the episode that I can't tell. It might be a mixture of all of these things where it's like regret and guilt, but also I'm not sure if she knows about Cyril yet.
I don't think she does. So she is like grabbing at her neck, and I can't help but feel like that's her thinking of Cyril grabbing her neck and
maybe
like just trying to feel that connection.
It was
again.
also really heartbreaking that she like you've seen Imperial officers before when they try to like right before Vader shows up, they're like, oh shit, the boss is gonna get here. They pull on the bottom of their tunic and shit, and she tries to straighten herself out like that, but she just can't do it.
Yeah, like she's having this breakdown in private, and she's thinking, okay, I have to go out and lead the troops and do my thing, so I have to look presentable.
But also, this world is on fucking fire. And I am responsible for this.
I think this is another instance of the enormity of situations finally crashing down on a character. Because like through this episode and the previous one, Dedra was a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious, more so than usual.
Yeah.
Because like she knows what's coming, even if she can't tell Cyril. And then now it arrives, and she's like, "Holy shit! Did I just do a genocide?"
Yeah, I think in her mind it was good soldiers follow orders.
Yeah.
And then she got there, and then
she got there, and
it stopped working.
She realized what the orders were, like the practical, real world significance and implications and like results of those orders.
Yep.
And she didn't get to the point where she couldn't do it anymore, but I think she got to the point where she wished she didn't.
Well, I think she got to a point where she noticed that even if she wanted to try to stop it, it wouldn't have mattered. It was too much. It was too much for her to stop.
Past the point of no return.
Right.
Yeah.
And that helplessness, that's got to feel fucking awful. But then again, when you work for fascists, this is what happens.
Fascism corrupts.
Yeah.
It turns you into a fascist.
Yeah. The episode ends with honestly kind of a really sad thing where Edie Cyril's mom is watching the news with a couple of friends, and she's in tears. They're watching the Fox News, the Imperial martyrs, and I'm not sure if she knows about Cyril yet.
She cannot possibly know about Cyril yet.
But I think she's really like
she's worried because she knows that's her baby out there.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, when I see Edie, like she's so annoying and she's such a faulty parent, but I can't help but kind of see my in-laws a little bit where her, like, it's a mixture of not being taught media literacy and critical thinking skills, and then consuming news only from one source, because that's exactly how my in-laws are. Despite having 3 gay kids, and like still this undying devotion to like the alt-right, and they're good people is the thing, and they were good parents. They are good parents, but at the same time, because of like that recipe of the lack of media literacy, not being able to not having the toolkit to tell what's true and what's not, which is a big thread.
We're gonna get to that. Yeah.
All that shit just comes together, and it makes most people compliant drones to fascism. And it's like, I was watching that episode last night. I was like, damn, dude, like you really did not have to make things so fucking real. This is pretty depressing.
I argue that they did.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
This is the thesis of the show. Like,
exactly.
This is why the Empire is worth rebelling against.
We are going to take a quick.
I was gonna say.
Like
2 minutes, not even.
Yeah, just give me 1 second here. Chris is going to read through chats.
Let's see. Yeah, that's probably, yeah. It's, oof. God, this show is so good, but it's so heavy. Like, it raises issues that really stick with you. And
by the way, that was a planned break. Nothing went wrong there. It's just that I have to defeat the laws of relativity for our podcast. Okay, episode 9. Welcome to the rebellion, bitch.
Ah, yes.
So we get this beautiful opening shot of the Senate rotunda, reflecting in a puddle, like as it's raining. And inside, the senator from Gorman is being arrested as he screams about the slaughter of his people. And
in full view of like dozens of other senators and other visitors to the building.
Bail and Mon Mothma, Bail Organa and Mon Mothma look on in horror. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
Like, they can't physically stop this. And Mon Mothma, I think, has officially reached her breaking point. And she tells Bail, like, I'm going to make a speech, and I'm going to fuck off to Yavin 4, and you should come with me.
Bail's like, okay, number one, there's no way they're going to let you leave.
Yeah.
Like, if you tell the truth in there, they are going to arrest you immediately.
Yeah, and she's like, well, let's get around that problem then, shall we? And he's like, also, I can't go to Yavin 4. And it's not because I'm scared, but it's because someone has to stay behind to slow them down.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'll be me. And he's like, but I'll join you on Yavin 4 in like a year. And she's like, all right, sounds like a date. Let's go.
See you then.
Let's go burn this shit down. Yeah. So Clea is hanging out with Cassian at the.
Clea looks weird with her hair down.
Her face looks longer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's right. It's crazy how a hairstyle can reshape your face that much. Yeah. So they're at the gallery. She's printing off a key card pass, and she's like,
okay, here's the thing. You're gonna have to go in there and get Mon Mothma out of there.
Yeah.
So here's your credentials. They'll get you in the side door.
Yeah. Also, this is an all season pass. Like, it works all season. He's like, I don't need it. I'm quitting after this. And she just rolls her eyes at him, and she's like, let me guess, you're tired. You're scared.
You can't do it anymore.
You fear for your loved ones. Like, bitch, I've heard all of this before. This is the rebellion. Grow the fuck up. And Cassian's like, damn, girl, I just got back from Gorman. Let me lick my wounds for a little bit.
I'm feeling a little bit emotionally tender at the moment.
Yeah, and she's like, get the fuck out of here. Go save the senator.
I need to know Clea's backstory. Like, even more so than Luthen, what made Clea like this?
I bet that girl knows how to fight, by the way.
Undoubtedly.
I've got this image of her with, like, Assassin's Creed style blades in her wrists, like, ready to go.
Like, she has bigger balls than anyone else on this show, I feel like.
Certainly me. So, Mon Mothma's aide sweeps her office for bugs, and they find one.
Yes. They had heard rumors that there was a listening device in some of the other senator's room.
So they're not sure if this is the only one. And Mon Mothma needs to practice her speech. And so her aide's like,
okay,
go for a walk.
Yeah, go for a walk. I'll keep searching in here. It'll be fine.
Yeah. So, and they destroy the bug. And somewhere in an ISB office,
the one guy who's assigned to listening to Mon Mothma's bug is like, that's weird.
Yeah, it just kind of like
he
it
taps
just
away on his
bleeps off.
computer and asks an assistant. She's like, no, it's nothing on our end.
Yeah, tech support comes in and they're like going through their troubleshooting.
No, everything on our end is working good. It's just not transmitting at the source anymore.
So Mon practices her speech out in the courtyard, and she's approached by Luthen. And we find out some pretty interesting things. First of all, her aide works for him.
Yes.
And he's like, he wanted to tell you himself, but here we
Never
are.
had the opportunity.
Yep.
And she's like, I am firing that motherfucker as soon as I get back.
We also find out how scared of Luthen Mon Mothma is. Because she's like, remember what you did to Tay Kalma for just like vaguely inconveniencing you? Like, I'm about to do a lot more than vaguely inconvenience everybody.
She is terrified that the instant she is no longer useful to Luthen, he's gonna ice her.
Yeah. Also, like, if she's captured, the whole thing comes down.
Because if she's captured, there is no way she stands up to interrogation enough to prevent them from getting to Luthen. And if they get to Luthen, they might not get everything out of him, but they will get enough to roll up the rebellion.
Yeah, the rebellion, as we know it, would die. And she's like, at what point does he think that I'm just too much of a liability and kills me?
Yeah.
We find out that so Bail has put together a team to get her off of Coruscant to Yavin 4, and we find out that his team is compromised. And she can't leave with them. And so she has to trust Luthen.
Yes. He's like, I have my own guy. He'll meet you tomorrow. You're gonna.
We have this code phrase.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's gonna say, I have friends everywhere, and that's the code that you can trust him.
And then he repeats it as a warning. And he looks at her. He's like, I have friends everywhere. Yeah, and she's like, okay, didn't have to be so fucking creepy about it. So they call an ISB supervisor in because of this listening bug, and they're like, no, we're pretty sure someone just smashed the motherfucker. So they call her driver up, and her driver's like, "Oh, I haven't seen her."
Yeah, she's been in there all fucking night.
Yeah,
like,
which is really weird.
I've been sitting out here in this car since we got here this morning.
Yeah.
Like, I would really like to go home now.
Yeah. Which, by the way, this is not normal behavior for Mon Mothma. So, like, y'all should probably be aware.
Yeah.
Mon Mothma returns to her office like in the early morning hours.
Mm-hmm.
She clearly didn't sleep. She feels hideously betrayed by her aide. We find out that Luthen got him at her daughter's wedding. So that conversation he has with him, where he's like, Luthen's like asking him about his, and he's like, "Oh, my dad was from Alderaan, or someone was from Alderaan, and like I'm pretty much a bastard," and he got his claws into him there, and she fires him.
She's like, "Get the fuck out."
Yeah, and he says, because he tells her, like, "I'm doing this to protect you. Like, you have to survive this." And I think it's something that Luthen knows as well. It's an interesting thing to bring up, that Luthen knows that he's going to die fighting in the rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Cassian knows as well.
Luthen is resigned to it,
yeah.
I think.
He
decided, like, we know from his monologue near the end of season 1, he has long since decided that this is how he's going to die.
Yeah.
He's going to resist the Empire with every fiber of his being until they have to kill him.
Yep. And then when they do, he's going to burn fucking as bright as he can, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he must also realize that after all these martyrs have died, someone has to lead what's left.
Yes.
And that has to be Mon Mothma, because she's the idealist.
Martyrs are fantastic symbols, but you need someone alive
right.
to lead.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why he was sort of grooming Cassian for this.
Yeah.
Like, he saw that, like, this kid can do shit, and, like, people will follow him.
Yeah. So Cassian meets with Luthen and Clea outside of the Senate building. They aren't sure what Mon Mothma is going to do, because it turns out Erskine's like, she fucking fired me. I don't know what she's going to do.
Like, is she going to give a speech? Is she not?
Yeah.
We don't know. The agenda's been set, but...
I like how Luthen's like, maybe I shouldn't have told her about Erskine. About him working for me.
Yeah.
That really pissed her off. So Cassian tells Luthen, like... because Cassian all of a sudden is like starting to realize shit's going down today. Is like this is getting serious, and he tells him like what are you gonna fucking do? And he's like, hey, don't worry about it. And he's like, there's still some bridges you haven't burned, and Luthen responds, we'll take care of that today. It's part of this episode where I'm like, let's do this, let's go. Cassian is pretty worried that they're gonna find Luthen. And he's like, Luthen says, you know how both of our stories end here. Like, you knew it when you joined me, that like we get a different end than the idealist does. So we might as well just fucking get that out of the way and get used to it. Right. And Cassian's like, I've got a wife/girlfriend. Fucking speak for yourself.
Yeah. Like, this is my last job. I'm out after this.
They can't let Mon Mothma get arrested. And Clea says that, like, if she's arrested, it all comes down. And I think the implication here is that maybe if they can't get her out,
accidents happen.
Yeah. So Erskine gets into the Senate building, just as Bale's team. And so they're like three guys, or two guys and a girl. Yeah. They show up. They've never met each other before. They meet up and discuss their plans. So they're gonna, like, two of them are gonna go get gear from a room inside the building, which is like guns, and then they're gonna meet up with Mon Mothma, and they're gonna take her to Yavin 4.
Are we supposed to recognize any of these characters? Because, like, the woman looks vaguely familiar to me, but it might just be the actor. Maybe
we've seen her in the ISB before. I don't know. She does have one of those faces though.
Yeah.
So yeah, Cassian gets in.
Flashes his media credentials.
Yep.
The guy, so it's like, look, I don't have like an actual chair for you, so you're just gonna have to stand.
Go and stand,
but get up there.
Yeah,
go do your thing.
There's an ISB command center, because there's a little rumor going around that a senior senator from Chandrila might start some shit today, and so the ISB is like all hands, right? But we find out that the agenda for the session is set.
Yes.
And nothing matters because Mon won't be able to speak anyway. Nothing to worry about.
She's not on the agenda.
Certainly,
everything's going to be fine.
Certainly some fucking nerd won't get a rule book out and find a weird way for her to give a little speech. So Bail meets Mon Mothma outside of the Senate chamber. This is one of those scenes where I'm like, oh my fucking God, it's happening. And Mon Mothma's like, here we are. This is the fucking day. This is the day.
Is it.
Yeah. And Bail tells her about the escort team, and she asks if they could be trusted. And he's like, I mean, I trust them as much as you can trust anyone, I guess.
I trust them. I've never met them, but I'm sure they're very wonderful people.
Yep.
Like, they'll get you where you need to go.
But, like, girl, you give this speech, you get the fuck out of Dodge. And I'll see you in a year. And she says, take care of yourself, Bail. To which Bail responds, we do what we can. Tear the shit out of this place. And you're like, let's go. Which, by the way, I said this last week. I love Benjamin Bratt as Bail Organa. I think he does a great job.
He's killing it.
I would have loved to hear that line from Jimmy Smits because that would have been really cool. So the Senate's called to order. Erskine and Cassian meet, and they do their little, like, you know, I've got friends everywhere. I know I've got friends everywhere too.
Yeah.
Wait, are we friends with one another? I think that's the implication here, kid. All right. Well, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah.
So different senators.
They're given, you know, the support our troops and never forget.
No. They give the Star Wars theory, the Empire doesn't condone this speech, where they're talking about the Imperial martyrs and the heroes and the evil Gormans and all this other shit. And one of the senators is the actor that plays Pyat Pree from Game of Thrones, the greatest fucking Karth, the greatest city that ever was or ever will be. That guy he's a fucking senator in Star Wars. So two of Bail's team, the two guys that are supposed to go get the gear, they go down to get the gear. One of them gets on the little ear set and calls ISB. So we know that she's the fucking rat.
She's like, hey, I need to talk to the ISB. And the guy she's with is like, wait, who are you talking to?
Who the fuck are you talking to?
She's like, oh, nothing. Just turn back around while I grab this heavy object and beat you over the head with it.
I'm talking to my mom.
Yeah.
I don't think you are. She just fucking kills him, right?
Yeah.
So, there is this really funny bit. It's not super important to the story where she calls and the supervisor comes over, but then she's not there anymore. He's like, fuck, okay. And he goes back. And then she's like, oh no, she's back. And he's like, oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah. So a senator yields her time to Bail Organa, who pulls out his Senate procedure rulebook and puts on his glasses and is like, well, actually,
according to this very specific
I'm
rule,
invoking Article 17-252. And he like looks over the brim of his glasses at everyone. He's like, no one's going to ask what it is? Okay.
Well, let me explain.
Well, it clearly states that in a time of emergency, a senior senator can yield his time to another senior senator, and none of y'all bitches can interrupt. And we've established in that dumbass's speech just 5 seconds ago, referred to the Gorman incident as an emergency like 8 or 9 times.
And nobody said
and
shit.
Let me say, none of y'all bitches submitted an objection to classifying it as an emergency.
Therefore, we are in an emergency.
Therefore, and I would like everyone to know, I am yielding my time to the senator from Chandrila, Mon motherfucking Mothma.
And out comes Mon Mothma.
So the USB soup is like,
my God, that's Mon Mothma's music.
So the ISB guy is like, oh fuck. Oh fuck.
Oh fuck. Shut it down. Shut it down.
Yeah, he's like,
shut down the feed. This can't get out.
Yeah, they're like, we're shutting down Imperial C-SPAN. We have to shut their shit down. Mon gives her speech. I'm going to read the whole thing.
Okay.
Because
it's good.
This is one of those moments where it's like, Tony Gilroy, you did it again, you motherfucker. She says, fellow senators, friends, colleagues, allies, adversaries, what she says is adversaries because she's English and they do weird shit like that. I stand before you this morning with a heavy heart. I've spent my life in this chamber. I came here as a child. And I look around now, I realize I have almost no memories that predate my arrival and few bonds of affection that cleave so tightly. Through these years, I believe I have served my constituents honorably and upheld our code of conduct. This chamber is a cauldron of opinions, which, by the way, great fucking imagery there. And we've certainly all had our patience and tempers tested in pursuit of our ideals. Disagree as we might, I am hopeful that those of you who know me will vouch for my credibility in the days to come, because I'm about to burn their shit down. I stand this morning with a difficult message. I believe we are in crisis. The distance between what is said and what is known to be true has become an abyss. Of all the things at risk, the loss of an objective reality is perhaps the most dangerous. The death of truth is the ultimate victory of evil. When truth leaves us, when we let it slip away, when it is ripped from our hands, we become vulnerable to the appetite of whatever monster screams the loudest. This chamber's hold on the truth was finally lost on the Gorman Plaza. What took place yesterday, what happened yesterday on Gorman, was unprovoked genocide. And this is where her fellow senators, who apparently were her esteemed colleagues, start booing her and start yelling. And she says, yes, genocide. And that truth has been exiled from this chamber, and the monster screaming the loudest, the monster we've helped create, the monster who will come for us all soon enough, is Emperor Palpatine. And everyone's like, and at home, Emperor Palpatine's holding his glass of milk and just breaks it.
Everyone's like, holy shit, I can't believe she actually said that.
Yeah. And as she, like, the light goes off and her fucking Senate pod goes back, and as it's going back, fucking Bale looks at her and he's like, hell yeah, girl. That's how you
get
do
it, girl.
Yeah.
Girls get it done.
Yeah. The entire speech was under, while she's giving the speech, the news, like the head of the news, C-SPAN or whatever, is like trying to like shut it down, but the door
is locked,
right? And so like they can't figure it out and shit. And her entire speech is uninterrupted, and they don't shut it down until she said the last word. So like it got out, right? Every fucking word of that speech got out. Her driver listens to the radio as he's listening to the speech, and he's like, oh fuck. Okay, so she's going to need to escape, and she's probably going to be coming here, but I'll drive her the fuck home. I better get my gun out.
Yeah.
Like, shit's about to get real. Cassian is waiting for Mon Mothma.
Yep. She gets out there, and there's only one guy, and Bail Organa said there'd be three guys. Right. So she's immediately suspicious.
Yeah, and he's like, I was at Gorman yesterday, and she's like, I don't fucking care. I don't have time for this. I'm very busy.
Mr.
Senator.
Reporter,
yeah.
I admire freedom of the
no
press.
Comments.
I love it.
No comments. No comment.
Yeah. I've already said my piece.
And he says, I have friends everywhere.
She's like,
excuse me? Yeah.
Shit.
Now, this is the problem, is that Mon Mothma doesn't know who to trust.
Yeah. But
he convinces her. He says, if Luthen's right, your only chance is with me. And they ride down the elevator, and it opens, and he says, I'll be right behind you. Mm-hmm. And
just keep walking.
There are people fucking waiting.
Yep.
The press is waiting. They go down the elevator, and they run into Bale's extraction team, the two of them.
What's left of them? They have a funny moment where, like, the ISB lady's like, where's the third guy? I thought he was with you. I thought he was with you. He split up and sent me to her.
He probably went home. I don't know. He said he had to talk to his mom.
Yeah.
So the ISB agent attempts an arrest.
Yep. She pulls out her gun.
Yep.
She's like, fucking everyone freeze. Mon Mothma, you fucking security guy, call the ISB. Mon Mothma, you don't go anywhere.
Erskine, fucking wingman of the fucking century, is like, it's a rebel spy. And then Cassian just fucking ices her on the spy.
Well, she turns to point the gun at him, and Cassian just quick draws and down she
right
goes.
in the face.
Yeah.
Right there, yeah.
He's like, all right, none of you bitches move.
Yeah. Erskine, by the way, is like, you guys go, I'll buy you 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
As they're like trying to get out, Mon Mothma says to Cassian, I don't know if I can do this. And Cassian's like, welcome to the rebellion.
This
is what it is.
This is what
now.
we do. Yeah.
And this is that moment where Mon realizes in real time that she does have the stomach to do whatever is necessary to bring the Empire down. And that moment couldn't have come soon enough.
Yep. There's this really nice moment where like she's trying to hustle, and he's like, don't run. We're not trying to attract any attention.
Yep. Wear my coat.
Yep. Put my coat on. It'll change the way you look.
She's like, it smells like lots of murdered people. And he's like, well,
I told you I just came from Gorman, right?
As it turns out, I've murdered a lot of fucking people in my life. So Clea gets Luthen to evacuate to the gallery. Cassian and Mon make it out of the Senate building, and they're intercepted by her driver. And they do this really... So, like, they're running, and... like Mon Mothma's like, oh shit, that's my driver, and he's like, oh, a friend. She's like, no,
he's an
ISB, and he's like, what's his name? Cloris. It sounds like clitoris. I know Cloris. And he's like,
hey, Cloris,
we got her.
Yeah, we need a ride.
And Cloris is like, wait, are you ISB? And he just fucking shoots him.
Yeah.
And
say what you will about Cassian Andor.
He thinks quick.
He thinks quick, and he knows when to shoot a motherfucker.
Yeah. They escape in Mon's speeder, or in her like car, and there's this amazing shot of her looking over her shoulder as they're peeling away, looking back at the Senate like one last time.
Yep.
And it's like the whole thing's brilliant, Chris. Just fucking brilliant. On Yavin 4, a new group of recruits arrive. Vel finds a familiar-looking blaster and is like, whose fucking blaster is this? And a guy raises his hand, and it's fucking Melshi from Season 1, who also appears in Rogue One. Melshi is the guy that Cassian escaped the prison with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They split up on Space Daytona Beach.
Yep.
Because Melshi wanted to make sure people heard about what happened at the prison.
Yeah.
So Cassian and Mon Mothma arrive at his old rebel house. Airbnb. Yep. Yeah. Erskine's already there, which he got out, and I think Mon Mothma is like, I might have been a little too rough on you. I'm so sorry. She's really happy to see him. Clay is waiting there, and Willman is there, who survived.
He got
Gorman.
shot,
yeah,
but he's alive.
Yeah, he needs a doctor, but they need to leave pretty quick.
Yeah.
And there's this moment where Mon Mothma tells Cassian, "I'm not sure how to thank you," and Cassian says, "Make it worth it." And so they get back to Yavin.
There's also a really nice sort of debate / discussion here where they're not going to tell anyone that Cassian is the one who got her out of there. They're going to give the credit to Gold Squadron.
Well, after they land, they get back to Yavin 4 in the U-wing, and he's like, okay. The commander guy is like, so you shouldn't have had this fucking ship in the first place. So we're gonna pretend like none of that happened. Gold Squadron brought her in, and they need her for a propaganda speech. Yeah. For the rebellion. So they kind of usher her off and shit. Turns out like Will's gonna be all right. He's actually not that.
Yeah, he's fine. Cassian's like, by the way, there's a KX droid.
It's in the trunk. Maybe we use it. Maybe we don't.
Maybe
I don't
put
know.
them together.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
So Cassian comes home to Bix, and he tells her that he's done and he wants to retire with her. He's like, we'll hang out in this fucking yurt for the rest of our lives. We'll get mangoes off the fucking trees.
Well, he says there's still quiet places in the galaxy. Like,
probably not Yavin 4.
We can go find.
He's like,
this is a very bad place to be, but
the Empire's gonna find out about this eventually. Yeah. So she listens, and you can tell that she's kind of sad, like she's made some kind of decision. And they go to bed, and you know that when he wakes up, she's not going to be there.
And sure enough, he wakes up and she ain't there.
She left him a voice message, and basically was like, "I'm not going to be the reason you leave the rebellion."
Yeah, like your place is here. Yeah. What you are doing is
so is mine, by the way.
Unbelievably critically important.
Yeah.
You need to be right the fuck here. When all this is over, I'm gonna find you again,
find you.
and then we'll, ride off in the sunset, live happily ever after. But for right now, you need to be here.
It echoes very closely the agreement that Vel and Cinta have, which is the rebellion comes first. We get what's left over,
and it is heartbreaking because we know how Cassian's story ends.
Right.
We know that he and Bix don't get their happy ending.
Right. He peels it. He hauls ass back to the base, but he's too late. Yep. The ship's already gone.
Ship's gone.
Yep. So there, like a guy comes up and he's like, "Hey, you look really sad, but to cheer you up, I think we're ready to power up that KX droid." And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's a really good way to get my mind off this."
I love KX droids.
So they go to where they've got this fucking KX droid strapped up and like ready to go,
like restrained, and there's like a dozen guys with big guns,
right? And like the droid guy's got his goggles, and he's like,
"Hey, you want some goggles?" And Cassian's like, "No, I would like a big gun.
I would like a machine gun, please." And I like how he's like, "Look, this could wake up and try to murder all of us, or it might not. I have no way of knowing."
Guess we'll find out.
Ready to go?
That's what science is all about.
Yeah. And he presses the fucking button.
And they're all pointing their guns at him, and Caxtra like vibrates a bunch, and finally like looks at Cassian. Yep. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah. This droid's like, "Hey, can I have that gun?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "All right.
Okay.
Well, can we be friends?" Yeah, I guess.
I'm sorry if I've done something to offend you, but
Yeah.
could you please stop pointing that machine gun at me?
Also, starting to sense we might have a long and fruitful friendship. What do you say?
Yeah.
Cassian's like, sounds fucking good to me.
Yep.
And it's by the way, it's so good to hear Alan Tudyk's voice again as K2SO. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Fucking great. Yeah. Jimmy says, pity Han doesn't cross paths with Cassian. Their interaction would be gold. I don't need that. Even a little bit. Yeah.
I think it's fine.
No.
Like they're different enough characters. They don't need it.
Yeah. That's one of the things that this show does so well, is that when they want to give you a little bit of nostalgia, it's functional, and it usually is with places and things and not people.
It's usually pretty subtle.
Yeah. So like you're not going to see Vader or you're not going to see Luke or whatever, but you're going to see fucking Massassi temples on Yavin 4, which hits the same part of your brain. And it cues you into being in the Star Wars universe.
Honestly, one of the strengths of Andor, I think, is that you don't really need to have known much about Star Wars in order to get it.
Right, yeah. It's on its own a very functional story.
It's a show with a message and a story and a meaning that's trying to get across, and it doesn't rely on nostalgia or legacy knowledge of the property.
Yeah. You want to take like 5 to 8 minutes to talk about Star Wars: The Underworld, or Star Wars: Tales of the Underworld. 2 basic stories they run through. Well, one is if you've read Star Wars: Dark Disciple, you might wonder, oh, that's weird. Asajj Ventress. Spoilers for Tales of the Underworld, by the way.
She fucking died.
Yeah, she dies saving Quinlan Vos. And so you're like, well, wait a second. I've seen the Bad Batch season 3.
Yeah,
and she
how
shows
is she
up
alive?
In that. Yeah.
Well, it turns out there was some witchy stuff happening.
Which we all knew that was that's what it was going to be.
Yeah.
Fucking Dathomirian
fucking
witch
witches.
shit. And that's exactly what happens.
Yep. And Mother Talzin is like, all right, so here's the deal. You can die and stay dead, or you can come back to life, but...
And never get any dick again.
You never get any dick again. Yep. Quinlan Vos will never know you exist.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I would prefer to be alive, so let's go with that.
Yeah. And she doesn't want to have a debate about what is life without dick.
Yeah.
Because it's like a children's show. So I like how Quinlan, by the way, is just like... right in the puddle.
So she's working security for this shuttle service on some backwater planet, and who should walk in but fucking Lyco? Tell me about Lyco.
Lyco apparently was not Petro, who I thought he was, or at least we don't know yet. That's who he is.
So he's just some random Jedi.
Yeah, based on what I've read, though they look very similar, and they both have blue lightsabers, and he would be this age.
Daniel, half the Jedi Order had blue lightsabers.
Yeah, but I mean, but these guys really do look similar. Like Petro and Lyco look very, very similar.
So Lyco comes in and he's like, hey, I need to get off the planet. Here's like 5 cents. And the woman Ventress is working for says, that's not enough. And he says, it's enough. And she says, no, it's not enough. And Ventress is watching all this like, you dumb motherfucker.
Oh, this fucking thing again. Fucking Jedi, man.
And they fight some stormtroopers and they end up working together.
Yeah. Yeah. They form this cute little relationship together. And they're trying to find the path.
Yep.
Which we find out in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Quinlan Vos helped set up, which is really sad.
Jedi Underground Railroad. And,
yeah.
And Asajj Ventress like, Quinlan Vos? He owes me some dick.
Yeah. Do you know where he is?
So they go along and like they have this encounter with this retired separatist general who's like, Lady Ventress, it's an honor to see you again.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, we don't do that anymore. Can you like just tell us where to
As it turns out, everyone in that war was fucking stupid. None of us should have been fighting, and I'm embarrassed by it. So no, don't.
So at the end, like they find the path and
he's like,
okay, Lyco, there's your fucking ship. See ya.
That dude is like, oh, and the wise count. She's like, nope.
No.
We're not talking about that anymore.
Finally, Lyco comes back and is like, actually, you know, I'd like hanging out with you. So we're gonna do the buddy
I guess Asajj Ventress has a child now, or a teenage son now. I guess. And also, does this happen after Bad Batch season 3?
I think so.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. Oh, she also had a run-in with an old bounty hunter friend of hers who has this really cool, like, sword scarf thing.
Yeah, I don't even know what to call that. Yeah.
And, like, they're on this mission to steal this thing from the Empire, but they lose it. And the bounty hunter is like, well, you know, you got a Jedi with you, so I can turn him in for just as much money. And Ventress is like, no.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
I could kill all of you and then fuck off. He's like, you know what? Well, how about we just go our separate ways?
Yeah.
We'll call it a tie. We'll go our separate ways.
The other 3 episodes are the origin story of Cad Bane.
Cad Bane, yeah. If you ever wanted the origin story of Cad Bane, the man with the big floppy hat.
Turns out he got that big floppy hat from another man with a big floppy hat.
Yeah.
Who was his father figure?
Another Duros.
Yeah.
Cad was
street urchin with his buddy Nero.
Originally born, or at least called Colby.
Yep.
Which is the name of a dog I had.
And they're fucking, this gangster guy sees him bamboozle some droid and steal some food, and he's like, I like your style, kid. How would you like to get a bunch of money working for me? And they're like, double it. And he's like, sold.
I didn't even give you an amount, but okay, whatever.
So they make a distraction so he and his buddies can rob this like backroom gambling ring or something. And they make the escape, and Colby gets away and Nero doesn't. So Colby gets adopted into this gang, and his name is Cad Bane now. And
he gets a girlfriend later on, little girlfriend.
It's really cute. All the adults go on a mission, and leader guy gets killed by the marshal. And Cad Bane says, "Fuck that guy! I'm gonna go kill this marshal." And he, gets the hat, and he runs into Nero, who's a deputy now. And Cad Bane fucking ices that marshal. And
then immediately promptly gets arrested.
Immediately gets surrounded. Is gonna try to shoot his way out, but his girlfriend is there, and she like got shot in their crossfire, and like steals his gun. Is like, no, you don't get to shoot
no,
here. Just go to jail.
You go to jail now. And then his best friend was like, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck her."
Yep.
And they get married,
and they fuck, and they have a son in the future. But, Nero succeeds in cleaning up the neighborhood. It looks less like Gotham and more like Metropolis.
Yeah.
And then Cad Bane comes back in town and fucking ices him and finds out his girlfriend is dead, and the only thing left of him is this kid. And
who is his son?
Yeah. It's Nero's son.
No, it is not Nero's
It's
son.
not?
It is Cad Bane's son. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. They make a pretty big show of this at the end when I think Cad Bane says something about there's nothing.
She was all I had left or something.
Right, and then he said that's not true, and it was the kid that they show his face.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Cad Bane's son.
And then Cad Bane fucking walks off into the
Cad
sunset.
Bane's like,
nope,
don't want kids.
I'm not doing that.
Sorry, I don't like kids. Have a good life. Gives him the hat tilt and fucks off.
Yep.
See you, kid.
Just fun little stories, not terribly consequential. But if you ever wanted to know where Cad Bane come from, why Cad Bane is the way he is,
why Cad Bane is, and where his floppy hat came from, now we all know. Let's talk about for the last bit of our show, The Last of Us, season 2, episode 4, which was a lot of fun. Spoilers. I don't want to. We're not doing spoiler free. We're going to do spoilers.
We just gotta dive into this.
Yeah. So we open in on the past. I feel like every time we do this, by the way, I always get whiplash because we're like talking about Star Wars and blasters and Cad Bane, and then I'm like, Fedra.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Right.
They're just riding around in this bus.
An entirely different show. Yeah. So
they're telling the story about one of their idiot
By the way,
buddies.
this guy telling the story is the guy from Drake and Josh. It is Josh from Drake and Josh.
God.
Yeah.
Did not even realize.
Yep.
So telling the story about this idiot friend of theirs who brutalized some civilians who they call voters, and
they did a fascism against civilians. Yeah.
And so there's a roadblock up ahead, and there's a big
hold
crowd
on
of people
a second. We're introduced to Jeffrey Wright's character Isaac, who is like pretty disgusted by the story that they're telling.
Yep.
And there's one guy who doesn't.
He's the sergeant in charge here.
Yeah. There's one soldier, like a newer guy, who doesn't really get. He's like, "Why the fuck do you call them voters?" And he's like, "Oh, it's just to fuck with them, because we, And
Isaac's like, "We did a fascism and took away their right to vote. So to make fun of them, we call them voters."
Yeah. So a group of people block the truck. Isaac gets out and meets with a woman called Hanrahan, and Isaac also tells the new kid, he's like, come out. You don't want to be in this truck.
Learn something.
By the way, the woman that plays Hanrahan is one of the moms from Euphoria, who's amazing in that show. She's actually really funny.
So Isaac
Isaac and Hanrahan shake hands, and they come to some kind of agreement. And Isaac turns around, walks up to the troop carrier truck, unpins a couple of grenades, tosses them in, closes the door. And this poor kid he brought out with him is like, what the fuck's happening? The grenades go off and the driver falls out and Isaac just fucking right in the street, just fucking takes him out. And he turns to the kid and he's like, make your choice, son. And he's like, what the fuck else am I going to do?
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a backstory that we don't get into with Isaac too much in the game, but I like it a lot. It's really cool. By the way, Jeffrey Wright voices Isaac in the game.
Cool.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. So back in present day, like 11 years later or whatever, Ellie and Dina have arrived in Seattle, and they raid a pharmacy, and Dina is real shifty about needing to pee. Like she sees something off screen, is like, hey, I gotta go pee on this pregnancy test. And when she comes back outside and gets on the horse, like Ellie can tell that she's being kind of shifty about it.
Dina's like, no, nothing's wrong. Let's go.
They ride through the Capitol Hill community of Seattle, which is like Seattle's famous gay community. And there's tons of pride stuff. But the girls were born after...
They don't know what any of this means.
The girls are born after Outbreak Day. So they have no idea what pride is. And Ellie's like, what's with all the fucking rainbows? And Dina's like, I don't know. Maybe they're all fucking optimists. Yeah. So they find an abandoned tank, which Ellie makes a lot of noise with. Yeah. But then they're like, oh, it didn't attract zombies or wolves.
There's no one around here, so I guess we're good.
Ellie makes a comment about the burned bodies inside and compares them to Apollo 1. And this is a kind of a recurring thing about, just a minor thing about Ellie, is that in the game she's kind of obsessed with space travel. And I think that we're going to expand on this because there is a particularly poignant moment between her and Joel, but obviously before he died. Spoilers. Which maybe they save for season 3. I don't think we probably see it in season 2, but it's kind of a nice moment that they have. So they get a lay of the land, and Dina sees there's a TV station tower with a bunch of satellites on top, and on one of the satellites someone spray painted WLF. So they're like, I wonder if that's where the WLF is.
Ellie's like, all right, we're going right there, and Dina's like,
we're going.
Nope,
we're taking Shimmer. We're riding up there. We're kicking some ass.
She's like, that is stupid for like 5 different reasons. We are going to wait until nightfall and then go in on foot. And Ellie's like, you are the smart one.
Yes.
Let's do that.
That's why you are here. Because if it were me, I'd still be my fucking chucks.
Yes.
So they hole up in an abandoned record store.
Which also has some instruments around.
Yes. So Ellie finds the guitar display upstairs and finds a guitar that isn't ruined and plays Take On Me. And this scene is so fucking good. Partly because Bella Ramsey has a pretty nice voice and is also a good actor, but...
Like she's not like trying to sing more than she should. I think. She's controlling her voice very well.
Yeah, and like the shit that goes too high, she takes down an octave, and like it's really nice. And this moment is really great. Bella Ramsey's great, but also Isabella Merced really shines in this. You can see her fall in love with Ellie in real time, and it's just with her face, and it is so well done. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Bella Ramsey, and I know she's getting a lot of shit on social media. I don't give a fuck. If you're one of those guys going after Bella Ramsey online, shut the fuck up. No one gives a fuck about what you think. That being said, Isabella Merced, like her performance in this scene is so good. Like
her performance in the entire show has been fantastic.
Like award-winning performance. Yeah. So we switch gears and we find out that Isaac knows a lot about French cookware.
He lights the stove and then gives this nice soliloquy about, when I was younger, I impressed women by cooking for them, and I was a really good cook, but I had shitty equipment. I wanted this really fancy French stuff that I couldn't afford.
Copper bottom.
But now I've got it. Weird fringe benefits to the apocalypse.
And what am I using it for? He puts it down on the fucking fire and he's like...
Turns out that copper heats up really well, also loses its heat well, so it's not so great for like torture. And then the camera pans around and we see there's a naked seraphim chained to the wall.
Yeah, a naked, emaciated seraphite.
Naked, has his dick out and everything.
Yeah. So he tortures him a little bit with a hot pan. He doesn't give up anything.
Yeah. He's like, fucking tell us where you're going to attack next. And Seraphim says, we're going to win because every day one of your guys joins our side. None of our guys ever join your side. Right.
And this is this thing that he tells him, like, he's like, every day one of your fucking guys joins us, but we don't lose anybody ever. So if we do the math here, and you can tell, like, this really gets to Isaac because he knows it's true.
Yeah.
And he pulls out his gun and he just sends him to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. The new guy from the first scene is outside now, not a new guy anymore, and makes a comment about like only good scar is a dead scar, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, you
time has been a little bit cruel to this guy.
I liked you better when you didn't know why they said Bodhi. Yeah. So Ella and Dina make it to the TV station to find disemboweled wolves hanging up from ropes, and they realize that they must have like called backup, so they're going to be there any minute.
Yeah.
And so they like other wolves come in.
They see the symbol of the seraphim seraphites in blood on the wall, and they're like, "Oh shit! Why is Seattle so fucked up?"
Yeah, what the? Yeah, I love how Dina's like, "What's going on in Seattle?
What is wrong with these people?"
So the backup gets there. They hide. It honestly looks a lot like a sequence from the game.
I think that's intentional.
Yeah, Ellie is able to make it upstairs and tries to find a way out, but she's followed by one of the wolves, and they have a scuffle, and Dina saves her. She
ends up shooting him, but that alerts all of them, and then they have to go running.
Yeah, they share a window, they escape. They're being pursued by the wolves, but they're able to squeeze through into the transit tunnels.
Yeah, they go through this very narrow...
little tiny girl-sized thing, yeah. So the wolves find another way in, and there is fucking cordyceps tendrils down here. And a ton of infected show up.
There's a funny little sequence where Dina and Ellie are hiding, and like they hear the first zombie
yell. They do the thing from the first episode.
Dina holds up one finger.
Yeah.
And then there's another yell. And then there's another.
Yep.
And then another.
After 5,
she's just like, what the fuck?
They're like, okay, we're not going to count them anymore. We should probably go.
And then an entire fucking horde of zombies come in, and Dina and Ellie escape through this train.
Yeah, they tear through the wolves pretty easily. Ellie and Dina make it onto the train, but like the infected start breaking in, so they have to escape through the top. They run and they make it to the entrance to the transit tunnel that has like that metal turnstile thing.
Big turnstile thing.
It gets stuck, and Dina is kind of exposed to the zombies. And so Ellie offers her arm she's like, oh, look, it's a nice juicy arm.
Bite me.
And she gets bit. And it gives them enough time to get the turnstile.
Dina gets her gun up and shoots the zombie, and then they get out. And
so they escape. They find an old theater, which is kind of your base of operations in the game, this old theater.
And like the whole time they're going on, like Dina is just looking
side-eyeing.
like,
right. She's like, couldn't this happen before you sang me the fucking song?
Yeah.
So Dina holds Ellie at gunpoint because of the bite, and Ellie's like, girl,
okay, look, I'm immune. I realize this is shocking. I probably should have told you a long
told
time
you.
ago.
I'm so sorry.
Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to bandage up my arm, and then I'm going to sit in that big-ass chair and fall asleep, and you're just going to point that gun at me the whole time. And when I wake up, I'm still going to be completely normal, and we're just going to not deal with any of this.
Now, there is this hilarious moment where she falls asleep. She wakes up, and because the roof is leaking, she's getting splashed with water, and she angrily starts swatting at her face.
She's like, whoa, hang on.
And Dina's like, oh, fuck.
She's like, whoa, no. See, I'm still good.
I'm just mad because of the water.
Not shaking.
Everything's fine.
Let me show you my arm. See, there's no mushrooms growing out of it.
So I think Dina's able to accept that she's probably fine, and then just immediately, just because the emotional high of the moment is like, I'm pregnant. And they both look at each other.
And then Dina fucking kisses her.
They're like, oh, we are going at it.
And then they fuck.
Yeah. And
it's cute. It's precious.
It is also a little raunchy. She fucking reaches right down that girl's pants.
She gets right up in there.
Dina got finger banged. Which,
honestly, good for her.
I think it's interesting. We can say that, but we can't say other things.
Like Backstreet Boys reunion tour?
That you two get mad at us, yeah. So
they wake up
in their post coitus little like cuddle fest, I guess.
Ellie's like, how did you know you were pregnant? And Dina's like, well,
well, hold on a second. Before that, she makes fun of Ellie about how like Ellie thought she was being really stealthy about her attraction to Dina. And Dina's like,
no.
She's like, girl, you are not as stealthy as you thought. Now, this thing, she's like, because she was like, okay, how do you know you're pregnant? She's like, well, I have this pregnancy test.
Well, first she says, I've seen some fucked up shit.
Right. And I never puked.
Out in the woods, that was the first time I puked. And I know about morning sickness. And then I found those pregnancy tests, in the pharmacy, so I peed on this one.
I thought,
this one.
Yeah.
And this one.
Hold on a second. I like how Ellie's first is like, wait, you pee on pregnancy tests? Is that how you actually do it?
She's like,
yes,
yes,
like,
that's
no,
how it
dipshit.
works.
Like, of course that's how it works. And she's like, well, I mean, that test is probably like 30 years old. She's like, oh, I took 7 of these motherfuckers.
Yeah, it just pulls them all out.
And she like holds them all out, and she's like, they're all positive.
Yeah.
And this is hilarious moment where like it sinks into Ellie.
Ellie's
and
like,
she nods.
I'm gonna be a dad.
She said, I'm gonna be a dad. And it is the funniest shit. I laughed. And this is what guys are bitching about on social media this week. The I'm gonna be a dad thing.
Oh my god.
You can tell how many people on social media haven't played the game and don't realize that Ellie and Dina like fucking get together in the game as well.
Yeah.
And in the first game, Ellie was bi. Like we knew that in the game. So like I think she's a lesbian.
She's just gay.
Yeah, and I think Dina's bi.
Yes.
So yeah.
This whole scene and sequence is kind of heartbreaking because like you see a point where the story could have diverged.
Right.
Like where
if
there is a world where Ellie and Dina go back to Jackson and make a throuple or something with Jesse.
Jesse, right.
Yeah. And they all live happily ever after and raise this cute little baby and have a good life.
If only Ellie could give up her quest for revenge.
Yes.
But that's the tragedy of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a tragedy in the classic Greek sense of the word because she has an opportunity to not do this.
And it would be easy. It would be easy for them just to turn around and
go. Just turn around and leave. And that's all it would take. But she doesn't. She actively chooses to continue the path she's on.
Yeah. The radio they stole from the wolves goes off. There's some kind of conflict, like the Seraphites are attacking, and they hear a name they recognize, which is Nora, which is one of the people that was present when Joel died.
Yep. And Ellie perks up and
here's the Kill Bill sound.
Yep. And right then you know that they are not going to have that happy ending.
So they go to the roof to see a part of the forward operating base under attack by Seraphites. Mm-hmm. Ellie doesn't want Dina to go because like everything's different now.
She's pregnant.
Yeah, and Dina's
like, girl.
Nope, we go together.
Yep.
And that's the end. However, I will say this is like extra spoilers if you've not played the game. Though this isn't that important. It's different in the game. This part is different in the game because Ellie and Dina aren't just going to Seattle to find Abby. They are going to Seattle because they're following Tommy, who is leaving this trail of dead wolves everywhere. Like they like go into a building and they find these two, the thing from season 1 where Joel like stabs the one guy in the kneecap and they do the thing with the map. Mm-hmm. Like they find two dead guys where he clearly did that. And they just keep finding these dead wolves, and they're trying to find Tommy before he like just goes goes too far. And I'm pretty sure there's one part that I'm not going to give away, but I'm pretty sure what they're probably going to do is have it flipped where Tommy's following them. I think Tommy. There is someone else who shows up from the Jackson group that I'm not going to spoil, but I think one of them probably will be Tommy. I think he'll show up because there's a really cool part of the game because you know that like Tommy's thing is that he is like this like world class amazing sniper, and there's a sequence you play as Abby where Tommy has the perfect sniping position and you have to escape, and it's like kind of difficult, and he like also Tommy racks up some really good kills in the game, and it's like with important wolves, and it's pretty cool. Anyway, I think that's going to be at the end of our show. I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit.
Not even 2 hours.
Yeah, we're making it pretty all right. So where's tomorrow? Thursday?
Tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah, we're doing Battlefront tomorrow at 7. Not tonight. I need a break. Mm-hmm. And then Gungans and Dragons on Sunday at 7 as well. So you should check that out. And then keep an eye out on the YouTube channel. You see the official release of the podcast.
But you're gonna have to do a little bit of editing on.
Yeah, I know. Also, I forgot. I have to do this. We're gonna run back to.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we're gonna run back to Andor mode. I want to read some of your guys' comments that you weighed in on Facebook. Oh,
why did it crash?
Or the Facebook app will just fucking crash.
Technology.
I just remembered this was happening when I was trying to go to my profile the last time. So I'm going to find...
It's very annoying.
Yeah, I'm going to find a notification.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Oh, Charmine. God damn. Brilliant, genius level writing and acting. Every bit of it. The Gilroy boys toss us around emotionally, just like the battle droids tossed around Rebels and Gorman's... Oh, that's too soon, girl. That's too soon. Charmine, thank you so much for the huge comment. We don't have time to read all of it. Yeah. I trust and believe it is very well written. Thank you for weighing in. Fabio says, Cyril's mom watching the news. Damn, that broke me. I know.
Yep.
And you know what? I loved to hate her up until that moment, and it felt really bad for her. Cyril saved Deidre again without realizing it. I have no clue how they follow up next week. Yeah. I think we're going to take more rebel casualties.
I think they have to kill Luthen.
Yeah, I think they also probably have to kill Will.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing Will in Rogue One. Michael says the Gorman massacre was incredibly brutal and moving. Watching those KX droids just ragdoll people to death really hit. Battle droids are a lot more intimidating when there isn't a Jedi around to save you, or when they're just going Roger or whatever the fuck they do. Yeah.
When they're actually competently put together.
Our friend April from Gungans and Dragons says, I was wondering how close and well we are going to butt against Mon's appearance in Rebels. And I'm pleased how they nestled right there while simultaneously leaving those scenes alone and intact. What she's referring to is that we see the propaganda speech that Mon Mothma gives after her speech to the Senate. Mm-hmm. And it is cool that they figured all that out. Incoming Thanos Scarlet Witch memes for Andor. Cyril, you ruined my life. I have no idea who you are.
Who the fuck are you? Cyril's like, yeah.
Also, I have a total crush on Alan, meaning Alan Tudyk. We get more K2SO next week. Oh, I'm sure we do.
Yep.
Craig says, I absolutely loved how Mon's escape was the visual transition from outspoken senator working behind the scenes to joining the rebellion in person. That's what I said during our recap.
Welcome to the rebellion. Shit is real now.
She learns in real time that she has the stomach for it, and it's the turning point for Mon Mothma. That shit is so exciting to me. The reality of life and death for her in that moment was sudden and without warning. For probably the first time in her life, having Cassian violently extract her with her participation was the perfect way to connect the spheres of influence. Now she's all in. I can't wait to see how it all goes down. Same.
Yeah.
Could say better.